Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is consolidating within this sideways price range, potentially repeating history in the short term, as the price has been cooling off on these smaller time frames from overbought territories, while Ethereum is still technically playing out this short-term bearish divergence. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and over the last one day, nothing's changed on this chart, and the same can be said about the 4-day chart and the 2-day chart. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about these charts right here, then check out my last video here on the channel. But essentially, at least as of right now, we're still looking bullish here in the short term within the larger bearish trend until we can see a confirmed breakout above around 68,000, because at that stage, if we can break out above this massive line of resistance at around 67 to 68,000, then we can flip much more bullish on the larger time frames, the longer term trend, not just a short term bullish trend. And so when it comes to the trend for the price of Bitcoin, that is still the current situation, at least as of right now. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, once again, over the weekend, the DXY is closed for trading. So we don't really have any new updates on this chart. So getting straight into this daily Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin is basically consolidating in this sideways price range in between this previous area of resistance, now acting as new support, sitting in between around 64.1k to 64.5. Once again acting as support, and we still have this massive area of resistance in between around 67,000 to 68,000 based on previous resistance and also based on the volume profile indicator. And the last time the price of Bitcoin was trading within this sideways price range based on the candle closes on the daily time frame was right back here around the end of July. And we actually chopped around sideways in this sideways price range for a couple of weeks or so before we eventually exited the sideways price range. And so there is a good chance that in the coming days, maybe even over a week or two, there is a good chance just in the somewhat shorter term that we could remain in this sideways price range just for a little while. Once again, in the next few days, potentially a week or two, simply based on this previous example. And that's simply due to the fact that the Bitcoin trend in the short term is still very much bullish. But like we saw last time, we still have a massive amount of resistance at around 67 to 68,000, which will likely cause the price to struggle around that area, causing some choppy sideways price action in the short term. And now it's important to mention that even though there is the likely scenario that we're going to bounce around sideways within this sideways price range just in the short term over the coming days, maybe a week or two, like what we saw back here, that does not necessarily mean that we're going to see that same outcome exiting the sideways price range to the downside. Once again, it does not mean that we're going to play out that exact same outcome again. And so, for example, there's the possibility that we could first bounce around sideways for a little while here, maybe over the next few days, and then potentially confirm a breakout after maybe 1 or 2 failed attempts here, struggling around resistance. Then we could eventually confirm a breakout above 68,000. That's a possibility that we need to consider. But either way, just over the next few days, that's what I'm currently expecting here in the short term. And especially as this overbought signal is still kind of playing out here in the short term. First of all, over the last 1 to 2 days approximately, over the last 1 day especially, we've seen almost flat price action. The price has basically just been trading sideways. And this is what I was talking about in my last video. I said it's extremely likely we're going to see either some sideways price action or potentially a very slight pullback in order to reset the RSI out of those overbought territories and back down towards more neutral levels here on the 6-hour time frame. And since my last video, that's exactly what we've seen as expected. Basically a short-term cool-off, so a loss in some bullish momentum here in the short term, but not necessarily the end of this bullish trend. Because we can see clearly that during this very bullish trend right here that we've been in over the last few weeks or so, we can see there's been multiple examples where the RSI has entered into overbought territories on the 6-hour time frame. And of course, these have not been trend reversal signals pointing towards the end of the trend. They essentially just resulted in a bit of a short-term cool-off, so just a break or a loss in the bullish momentum during the bullish trend before potentially the continuation of the bullish trend later on. And both of these previous signals right here during this bullish trend lasted for a couple of days or so before we eventually saw the continuation of the bullish trend. So this could potentially play out maybe over the next 1 or 2 days. And once again, it could result in some more choppy sideways price action within this sideways price range, as I mentioned earlier. And so once again, we're still very much within a short-term bullish trend right now. It's just, of course, nothing moves in a straight line. So do expect a bit of a break during this short-term bullish trend, basically playing out a bit of a sideways price range here, some choppy sideways price action in between this area of support and this area of resistance based on the significance of these areas on the price chart, likely holding the price in between this price range for at least the next few days or so. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on an account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use the link down below this video to make your Bybit account. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is currently a 500 USDT position airdrop, which is essentially a free $500 trade if you simply just make a Bybit account using that link and make a deposit and then claim the airdrop. But this is an exclusive airdrop, which means if you don't have a Bybit account signed up using that link down below this video, unfortunately, you cannot claim this free 500 USDT airdrop. And so once again, if you want to check this out, check out the link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitfinex. So I'll also leave a link to Bitfinex down below this video. And if you use that link, you can get up to a 5,500 USDT deposit bonus. And also, only if you use the link below this video, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex exchange forever. But that's only if you use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so as an alternative crypto exchange, another option other than Bybit, once again, there's Bitfinex. Links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we still have some liquidity starting to build to the upside again in between around 66,500 to 67,000. So keep that in mind. There is a possibility that potentially after we see a little bit more of a sideways consolidation, we could see a small spike to the upside just to take out that liquidity. But once again, we still have this major area of resistance in between 67 to 68,000. And so those are the levels to watch to the upside right now. And as for any downside liquidity, we don't really have a lot of liquidity immediately to the downside until we get all the way down towards around 62,500 approximately. But of course, between the current price and that much lower level of liquidity, we do have a few major levels of support along the way. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now the price of ETH is still looking bullish just in the short term during the larger bearish trend, unless we can see a confirmed breakout above 2.8k, because in that situation we can start flipping more bullish again in terms of the longer term trend, not just a shorter term trend during a larger bearish trend. And so once again, 2.8k is still the level to watch out for, acting as major resistance, which was previous significant support. And so if we break out above 2.8k, that would be extremely bullish for the price of ETH if we see confirmation, of course, with candle closes above 2.8k. And as for support on this time frame, we still have support at around 2450 to 2.5k and significant support at the golden pocket in between around 2150 to 2.2k. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, we're still technically playing out this bullish divergence, as I've been saying basically every day since all the way back down here a few weeks ago when the price was below 2.3k. I've been saying ever since then that we have an active bullish divergence on the daily time frame, so we should be expecting most likely a bullish relief or at least some choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. But this bullish divergence is creating a shorter term bullish trend, and of course a trend does not move in a straight line. We can see the occasional pullback or sideways consolidation here and there during a bullish trend. So that is the current situation right now on the daily time frame. And if we're taking a look at this daily chart right here, looking at the Fibonacci retracement tool from this swing high at around 3,500 down to this swing low at around 2.1k, we have this 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance, which could could potentially now act as new support, and that's sitting at around 2650 to 2670, give or take. And as of right now, at least at the time of recording this video, the price of ETH is sitting pretty much right on that level. So we could potentially easily break back below that level, considering we're sitting right on that level as of right now. And in that case, we still have support right here based on these candle closes, sitting at around 2570, give or take, and more support closer towards around 2550 based on these previous support levels. And as for other levels of resistance to watch out for, once again, we still have strong resistance at around 2.8K, and above 2.8K, we have more resistance at close to $3,000. So if we see a breakout above 2.8K, we would likely see a relatively quick move up towards around $3,000. But while the price of ETH is technically still within this bullish trend here on the daily time frame, the shorter term bullish trend, if we're zooming into a smaller time frame, looking at the 6-hour chart, we technically have a smaller bearish divergence that has already been actively playing out over the last 1 day or so. And so once again, this is resulting in a very slight cool off, a slight pullback here in the short term during this bullish trend. As I said earlier, we can see the occasional pullback here and there during a bullish trend, while this bullish divergence is still playing out on the larger time frames, the daily time frame. And so that's why the bullish and bearish divergence does not necessarily contradict each other, because they are on 2 different time frames. So for example, the 6-hour bearish divergence could play out maybe even over another day as well. And if that fully plays out like that, essentially on the daily time frame, that would look something like this, for example. So it would be really irrelevant on the daily time frame, as you can see. And so getting back into the 6-hour time frame, like I said yesterday, we should be expecting either a slight pullback or at least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So a cool off from all of the bullish price action over the next few days or so. And once again, over the last 1 day, we've seen exactly that as expected. And this will likely play out potentially over the next 1 day. But then sometime in the new week, we could potentially resume the bullish trend later on after we've seen a bit of a cool off here in the short term. And so that's what I'm currently expecting for the price of ETH, at least over the next day potentially, while the price is technically still within this bullish trend on the daily time frame. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, we're still struggling at this exact area of resistance as expected, sitting in between around 159 to 163. So right now that is still acting as strong resistance. But if we see a confirmed breakout with a candle close above 163, in that case, the next area of resistance to watch out for is sitting in between 170 to 175, and above that we have a significant area of resistance in between around 183 to 187. And as for short-term support, in case we were to see any sort of rejection or pullback from this resistance right here, we should expect some support at around 153 to 154, and below that we have this major area of support based on previous support and resistance sitting in between around 138 to 143, once again acting as support. And despite the fact that the price of Solana is still struggling around this area of resistance over the last couple of days here, technically speaking, we're still very much within this bullish trend on the daily time frame, and this bullish divergence is technically still active. It's still playing out, as I've been saying basically every day since March lower prices. And if we're zooming into a slightly smaller time frame, looking at the 8-hour time frame, technically speaking, this bearish divergence is still active because we've not yet confirmed the invalidation of the bearish divergence by, for example, confirming a higher high in the price in the candle closes, or a new higher high or breakout in the RSI. And so at least for now, at the time of recording this video, this bearish divergence is still active. So with this combined with the fact that we're running into this major resistance, there's still a strong chance that potentially over the next 1 or 2 days, we're likely going to consolidate around this resistance, continue to struggle just in the short term. But once again, there's still the strong possibility that after we see a bit more of a cool off here, a bit of a sideways price range, then we could eventually break out to the upside, continuing the bullish trend. Because right now, the trend is still bullish. It's just we're struggling around resistance and, of course, playing out a smaller bearish divergence. And once again, if we see a breakout above this previous high in the 8-hour candle closes, then we'll have to reconfirm a new bearish divergence with a new higher high in the price. If the RSI is still sitting in lower highs, once again, we would have to reconfirm a new bearish divergence in that situation. But if we see a breakout in the RSI above this line of resistance, and more importantly, above these previous highs, then in that case, that would invalidate the chance of any bearish divergence actually forming here on the 8-hour time frame if we see a breakout in the RSI above these previous highs. And so that is the current situation for Solana and for Bitcoin and Ethereum in the short term. Essentially, we're just playing out a bit of a cool off in the short term, some sideways price action as the most likely outcome as the prices are running into key resistance, and also seeing other things like bearish divergences on the smaller time frames. But this will not last forever, potentially only for a few days, maybe max up to around a week or two. And once again, we're still technically within this bullish trend. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, then check out those links down below this video if you want to claim those free bonuses. And if you want to know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.